Okay, guys, welcome back to the Let's Get Freaky podcast. I am so excited. We have got an absolute legend on the show tonight. We've got Doug Hajicek with us. Brother, welcome to Let's Get Freaky. Thank you so much for being here, man.
Hey Tommy, how are you?
I'm so excited to have you, man. You are a legend in the world of cryptozoology. You've done some incredible things. You're a producer, a wildlife researcher. You've got a fantastic show on Untold Radio. And you're an inventor. There's so
Yeah,
much. You study cryptozoology and Bigfoot and all the topics we
yeah.
love. Let's get freaky. Is there anything I've missed?
I don't know, but I'm starting. It kind of hit me the other day, and I'm thinking I'm like one of the oldest guys in this field now, and I used to be one of the youngest, and I still remember those days, right, when I was new, and now, even Jeff Meldrum's gone, and John Green and DeHenden and Grover, all those guys I used to hang out with and talk to every day, and they're all gone. John Bindernagel's gone.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's a kind of getting a little lonely up here.
Yeah, man. You're an OG, brother. You're an OG. How long have you been doing this kind of stuff for? When did it sort of begin for you?
1991, it became like full time.
Wow.
1991. So how many years is that?
So that is quick maths. Man, it's quite a while.
Yeah, it's over 30 years.
Yeah,
That's for damn sure.
absolutely.
So 10, yeah, it's been about getting 37 years.
Yeah, wow.
Maybe longer. Yeah, that's like, yeah, you asked me the wrong thing to do with math problems in my
I
head.
can't do math. I,
So
I,
yeah, it was 9 years to 2000, and so 9 plus 26, whatever that is. So it's about 35 years.
I've known about you for like, there's no way you can look into this kind of stuff and not know about you, you know. So I've known about you for years, and I'm kind of looking for obviously before we spoke tonight, I looked through everything you've done, and it's incredible, man. I mean, Monster Quest. I think it's fair to say is a lot of people that look into Bigfoot and subjects like that. You know,
Yeah,
nine times out of ten, when I talk to people for the first time and I say, "What got you into this kind of stuff?" Very often, people will say Monster Quest. You know, that is like one of the OGs as well. You know, incredible show.
yeah. It was a good show, and it's back on the air again.
Oh
I don't
wow,
know if you know that. It's like a new season
there's a
this
new
year.
one now.
A
Oh
new season.
man,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Season 5. And of course, you guys are on probably a 2-year delay, probably.
I don't know why they do
Before
that, man. It's so
I don't know
frustrating.
why. I don't know. But you have like Blaze TV over there, correct?
Yeah, yeah, we got
And
Blaze.
I
Yeah.
and I believe like Blaze started playing the old Monster Quest series about 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so there's just a delay. I don't know. Don't know why. I don't know why the delay. But anyhow, at some point now you're gonna get season 5.
Can't wait for it, man. Yeah, there is delays sometimes on the show. I don't know why. Not every show. Sometimes there is. I don't know what because we've got the History Channel. You know, we've got all the National Geographic
Yeah.
and all them channels, but for some reason they do tend to a couple of months later, sometimes years later. For some reason, I don't know why that
Yeah.
is. It's very frustrating because obviously we see it. You know, we see we've got the internet now, so we see
Yeah,
everything. You
right.
know, so
Yeah, and you can I'm sure you can watch them now on the
oh, there's
internet.
ways. There's a lot of
Yeah.
ways.
Oh, yeah. I can only imagine you. I guarantee you've got ways.
There's ways.
This is the Viking we're talking to.
That's it. That's it.
Tommy the Viking. He's got ways.
We find ways.
Uh,
So where did it kind of start for you getting into the cryptozoology, these kind of topics? What kind of
well,
led you on that path?
it happens kind of organically, but I'm trying to think back, and I was riding a dirt bike, um, and I stopped, took a break, and I remember hearing what sounded like a woman being murdered. It was not a cat. It was too loud. And, you just kind of put it out of your mind. And a number of years later, you start connecting dots. And I'm out hunting with my uncle, and I'm sitting on my deer stand in the dark. Because these are devout hunters. My uncle was like, you're going to be on your deer stand by 3 in the morning. You know what I mean? So we march out into the woods and he puts me on, the stand he wants me on. They go a quarter mile away and put another guy on another one. Right when the sun just barely started coming up where I could see just a little bit. And I was in this like mossy, it was like a fairyland of moss, a little tiny creek or a little brook. And all of a sudden I get hit with this stink. Like it was like dead body type stink. And I'm covering my mouth with my scarf and my jacket. And all of a sudden I hear chest beating, like gorilla loud, like it vibrated my body, chest beating, not from a grouse. People go, "Oh, you've heard a grouse." No, 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 no. I've been a grouse hunter for years. I've heard many a grouse. This was a big boom, 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 boom. And then the smell went away instantly, just gone. So I sat there a little kind of unnerved, for the rest of the day and didn't see any deer. And then at noon, we were all supposed to meet back at camp again. So I went back to camp. And here's where it gets weird. Everybody in camp had the exact same thing happen. So whatever it was went from tree to tree, about a quarter mile apart, and went and intimidated all of us. The
Whoa.
stink and the chest beating. And literally the first time I had ever heard the name Bigfoot associated with Minnesota was my cousin. He goes, that was a Bigfoot. And then all of a sudden he goes, and my dad saw one out here one time. And, all this stuff. And I'm like, what? What? You know what I mean? And so that's kind of how it, you start getting tuned in.
Mhm.
And then I went up, I was doing a lot of wildlife research up in the Arctic. And I was up there and I was filming and saw a big, like 6 foot long lake trout, right? And it was in the Windy River, an Arctic lake called Knowlton Lake, and the Windy River kind of flows up to the Arctic Circle, and the water's just gin clear. So this 6 foot long lake trout, and it was swimming like a serpent. It was huge, and I looked at my guide and I go, "Oh my God, did you see that?" And it was trying to catch my 30-pound trout I was reeling in, which is already a trophy, right? And he goes, "Yeah, I see those once in a while, but we can never catch them." So, okay. So I go home and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go get footage of one of these things. So I come home, I call up, and this is how I get myself in trouble, Tommy, all the time. I just like, okay, who can I call? Who can I call? Oh, I know. I'm going to call the guy that wrote the Time Life fishing books, right? For, like the encyclopedia. I call him. And he's a nice guy, and we hit it off. We're talking, and I'm like, I throw and telling him what I saw, my theory that I was probably a female that didn't lay eggs ever, and it just grew to an enormous size. So I talk him into going up with me up to the Arctic. But he wanted to go to a different lake that he even thought there were bigger ones. And so we're building all these lures that are like, 3, 4 feet long with cameras built in them and all sorts of crazy. We had like a huge um, ice chest for a tackle box. And so we go up there. And to make a long story short, it's up in Selwyn Lake. It's about a 70-mile wide lake up in the Arctic. And there's very few trees up there. It's a few, but very few. And one day, I wasn't with Dick. I wanted to go just fishing. I wanted just to take a break from the filming and we were out and I had to go to the bathroom. So I had to go pee. And this is how this was the pee that changed my life. Because think about it. It's the butterfly effect. Except this is the piss effect. So so I gotta pee. I go to shore. And everybody agreed, yeah, because I didn't want to, it was windy. I'd be blowing pee on everybody in this little boat. So we go to shore and there's footprints coming out of the lake. And there was a little island there, and it's very much like the Caribbean up there. It's like going to some Caribbean island. There's sand eskers and sand dunes and there's tundra, and it just reminds me of the Caribbean every time I go up there. Um, so these footprints are coming out of the water onto the beach, and they are human-like but massive. Big wide heel, 16 inches, and they come out of the sand, go up into the pea gravel. And this guy was with it. He was like 300 pounds. I go, Rick, get up on that rock and jump off to see if you can dent the soil. And he does. It doesn't even dent the soil. There's no dent. Like he's 300 pounds. He leaps off a rock. So I said, let's keep following these footprints. And they were a little harder to follow in the pea gravel, but they were still deep, like deep impressions. And it was drizzling this day. And so we follow them, and then it gets into the moss, and it's head towards a little tree break. And what I'm thinking is this thing saw us out in the lake and decided to hide in these maybe, 20 trees. And they're about 7 feet high. So picture, like if you go to Scotland,
Hmm.
you know how the trees are smaller and stunted. It's the same thing. And so there's a footprint in front of a tree trunk, and there's a footprint directly behind it, about 70, 60, 70 inches behind it, direct in a perfect line. This thing walked over that tree. And
Whoa.
that's when Rick goes to me, we need to leave now. Like it hit him. We need to go. And I'm like, no, 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 no. And I got a broadcast quality camera with me and everything. And it's like, let's just keep going. And so we walked past those trees into the moss, and you can see those footprints going off into the horizon in a straight line, just, off this kind of rolly tundra area. So I'm like, we got to get Gordy. We got to get in the float plane, and we got to go up, come back here in the float plane, because whatever it is cannot hide. There's no trees to hide. And if there are, they're just a little patch, a little thin patch. And so we get the float plane up. I got a camera. I can hang out the door and film, and we can film this thing for an hour, and there's nothing it'll be able to do. So we get in the boat, we head back really quick, doing the butt slap and the big waves in this little aluminum boat, and we get back to camp, and there's a tent where Gordy was, the pilot. We go in there, and we tell him, we just like I just told you, and he thinks we're playing a joke on him, Tommy. So he gets really angry, and it's kind of common in these camps when we do these expeditions to pick out one guy and play a really sophisticated joke on him, like really sophisticated. So, and so he thought we were doing that, and he took his clipboard. He had a clipboard because he was taking like, inventory of whatever was in the camp that he needed to get flown in, and he threw his clipboard, and I've never seen anybody's face turn that red. And he was like, "Get out of here!" And so we sheepishly left, and I to this day regretted not trying to prove to him that this was not a hoax. I don't know how you can do that with somebody, but I was going to try, but I didn't have the guts. And so I get home, and I can't get this out of my mind. I'm just like full time trying to do research. What was this? Calling anybody, even called Peter Byrne, if you know who Peter Byrne
Hmm.
is.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I called Peter Byrne up, sent him a tape of the footprints and this and that, and thinking, Peter would have some answers. And he had found a sighting up there, which was really interesting. It was like in the 1800s. Um, and so I finally got a hold of Matt Moneymaker.
Hmm.
And, Matt and I are both basically kids. I mean, we're children. I look back at it now and I'm like, oh my God, we were children. And so me and Matt get together because I was a filmmaker. And so that, Matt wanted to also get the messages out on this thing. And so Matt flew up to see me, and we ended up flying to Vegas, and we pitched. It was a big broadcast show. We pitched Legend Meet Science, and everybody turned us down. And, it was just kind of a laughable topic. No, I want to do science. This is Legend Meet Science. And then I ended up getting an agent, um, uh, Gary Lico, and Gary sold it like his first day. He sold it to John Ford at Discovery. And John looked at it and he goes, "Yeah, let's do it." And so then I was like, "Oh crap," because I told Gary I would shoot it in film, 35 millimeter film, right? That's a big project, with big cameras, big wide film. And Gary goes, "Yeah," and they want it on your 35 millimeter film too. And I'm like, "Oh God, okay, this is going to break me financially." But I pulled it off. I did it. So the Legend Meets Science, do you have a copy?
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay. But I can get
incredible.
you an actual DVD if you don't have one.
Oh, thank
I
you.
can send you one.
That'd be
But
amazing, man.
that shot in film, 35 millimeter film, and it's quite a project. And that launched Jeff Meldrum's career into this, his TV career. And then Jeff
Wow.
was on TV. So I always teased Jeff. I didn't have to pee. He wouldn't even be here. I used to tell him that all the time.
It's all down to that P.
Yeah, it was all down to that pee. Isn't that
Wow.
weird, though, when you think about it? Really,
Well,
if I wouldn't have not had to go to the bathroom, I probably would not be talking to you right now.
that is
That's
wild.
fascinating,
That
isn't
is
that?
fascinating. But you do think of these little tiny, tiny things that we do in our lives, like have a
Yeah.
pee, can literally change everything, which is quite
Yeah.
scary, to be
Yeah,
honest.
what you should do, everybody should do is like think about the things in the moments in your life that made your life go left or right, and think, what caused me to be right there? Like, how did I meet my wife? Or
Yeah,
yeah, because think you not only affected your life, but if you have
yeah,
kids and blah blah blah, it's a butterfly effect. It's
absolutely.
amazing.
And it changes
So,
everything.
but not many urine butterfly effects. This may be your first one you've heard about. So
That's what I'm going to call this episode. It started from a pee.
it did. It started from a yeah.
That's
That's exactly what
wild.
happened. Because what else would have been that trigger? There wouldn't have
Yeah.
been.
Yeah,
There
because
may
if
have
you
never
hadn't had
been.
that moment where you saw the prince,
Yeah.
you may never have gone down that path, literally.
No. Why would I?
Yeah.
I would have still probably just be doing wildlife research, staking out ducks or
Yeah.
whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's
Um,
still pretty cool. But
well,
I
I
mean,
was, I was really into looking in what I called other dimensions.
hmm
I built the world's first underwater submersible camera system for the web, so we could watch it 24/7 underwater at the bottom of Lake Superior, called the Benthic Explorer. And then I took
wow.
wired a mile of cable to a lab, and then from there we broadcast it out. And I did the same with a beaver lodge, and I did it with a bear den, and I've done that. So I think I did the first wildlife webcam in the world. I'm pretty sure of it.
Wow.
I
That's
can't find any
wild.
that were earlier than me. And that was kind of a new thing. I mean, a lot of people didn't even have computers yet, you
hmm
know.
Yeah,
No, there
man.
was no smartphones. And so I was a little ahead of my time. But yeah, I did it with bear dens and ended up filming the world's first birth of wild black bears in the den over the winter.
Wow.
And did that live in front of every like millions of schools or
Yeah.
school children at school. They piped it into schools all over the world, and so kids
Wow.
were watching this mother bear and then take care of these little tiny cubs in the den. It was very educational.
That's amazing, man.
And then we ended up raising about, I think, a little over $1 million, and then built the North American Bear Center with the money. And that so that a lot of good came out of it.
Absolutely. That's amazing, man.
But that's probably the kind of stuff I'd still be doing. I would have just done more of that kind of stuff and
Yeah.
not done the Bigfoot. But yeah, no,
Wow.
changed my entire life, literally,
Yeah,
that
man.
having to go to the bathroom at that moment.
Wow. That is super
Or
cool
if
as
the
well.
wind wouldn't have been blowing hard, I probably just would have peed over the side. I would have peed over the side of the boat. That would have been it.
Yeah.
But the wind was blowing. So it could be any of these very weird things. But it
Yeah.
not only changed my life, but think of all the people I've hired through the years to produce all of these shows all the people that have
Absolutely.
watched it, all the millions and millions and millions and millions of people that have watched, Monster Quest. And
Yeah.
so that kind of freaks you out when you think about it.
I mean, it literally could be the reason why I'm here as well. Because
Sure, of course.
I've watched these shows.
Yeah.
The other podcasts that watch these shows have been influenced by your work, man. So I mean, the topic of Bigfoot is a growing topic. I would say even now it's still growing, but
Yeah.
it might not be as big as it is now. In
Right.
our mainstream.
Well, I
Wow.
did the other show that I did actually before Monster Quest that nobody knows about. And you can find it on YouTube if you really look hard. It's called Mysterious Encounters.
I've heard of that.
Mysterious Encounters. And it was on it called the Outdoor Life Network, or OLN.
Okay.
Mysterious Encounters. And we were the and I'm not trying to brag, but it was kind of weird. I was thinking about it the other day, and I'm like, that was the world's first reality series because there had never been another reality series, and it was Matt Moneymaker, Autumn Williams, and a whole crew of researchers in a motorhome. And we would go from, we'd get a report and we'd go, and then we would film a whole expedition with all sorts of science and technology. Man, we had like big balloons, helium balloons with like thermal cameras that were like back then they were 100 grand, with gimbals, and we'd put them up 1,000 feet in the air, and we had call blasters, infrasonic big giant ones. We had
Wow.
tons of camera traps, and back then there was no such thing as a game trail camera, so I had to make my own. So there was none of that
Man.
stuff.
I,
And
I,
the backpacks. Do you ever watch Finding Bigfoot?
yeah,
You
absolutely.
seen them
Yes.
once in a while. They'd wear those backpacks.
Yeah.
Well, that was my invention that I made for Mysterious Encounters.
Whoa,
Yeah. So
man, I know that show as well, and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I read a book that Autumn Williams done. I'm pretty sure it was
I
Autumn
don't think
Williams.
she's doing research at this point.
No, I'm sure a few years back she wrote a book about Bigfoot. Is that right? I'm
Yeah,
pretty
I think
sure.
it was called Enoch. I'm not
That's
really
the
sure.
one. That's the
Yeah,
one. Yeah, I read
yeah.
it. Great
But she
book.
is she is absolutely brilliant.
Yes.
She was just brilliant, and she literally helped me so much produce that show. Yeah, she
Wow.
was really brilliant. Of course, Matt did too, with all his connections of
Yeah.
witnesses and stuff. But Autumn would help write. We would sit down and we would have to write all the narration, and she would help. And yeah, no, it was a fun experience. But
Oh,
that
that
was
is
the
wild.
first Bigfoot TV series on the air.
Wow,
But nobody
man.
saw it, Tommy. No, there was no audience. Who watched the Outdoor Life Network? Nobody.
I'm gonna
And they,
find it,
and
man.
they, we got canceled. We were their number one show on the network, but we got canceled because they just thought, oh, we're going to do bull riding. We're going to do
Man.
full-time bull riding. So that's why we got canceled.
Wow, we got to bring it back. And for anyone that doesn't know, Matt Moneymaker, he's the head of the BFRO now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we're finding Bigfoot as well.
Yeah. But I look
Wow,
back at that and I'm like, God, we were just a bunch of kids. We were just
man,
children.
he really was at the forefront of the Bigfoot, you know,
Yeah.
fascination that is worldwide now.
Yeah, yeah, with the TV, because this stuff was new. I mean, not only had there not been a reality show back in like 1999, but no one had ever used infrared cameras on TV. That had never been done. I had to have like when I wanted to I did a show called The Man That Walks with Bears, that Mark Hamill narrated from Star Wars. And I told Animal Planet I want to use some new technology called IR, infrared cameras. And they're like, well, what's that? And so I went out and I said, okay, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go up north and I'll film bears at night and I'll do this stuff. And then you guys can come in and look at it. And they did. They flew in and looked at it for the first time. So it was a lot of first, back in
Yeah,
those days.
and you think now every ghost program uses
Oh yeah, of
like
course. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. All these things are all kind of standard now, but back then they weren't. I mean, there was this brand new stuff.
Yeah, so he was like thinking outside the box at that time.
Yeah, Yeah, well, that's what I do. I mean, I'm kind of a born and bred inventor, and I like doing new things that no one
Hmm.
else has done. And you know, I always think I'm really good at like connecting, not inventing anything really, but just more like let's take this technology and combine it with this technology.
Hmm. Hmm.
Let's take a helium balloon. I didn't invent the helium balloon. I didn't invent the gimbal. And I didn't invent the thermal camera, but I damn well invented the combination of all three. Put them together and try, because it made sense.
Hmm.
That's what I was good at doing. But we even
Wow.
had like drones back in the like 99. We were using like there was no such thing. No one had even heard the word drone. I would find some guy inventor, like some obscure inventor that was just building something, and I would have him come on the show, and we would use it for Bigfoot research. And so it was really cool that way. We had got to try a lot of new technology. For instance, there were no camera traps, like I'd mentioned, that didn't exist. So I had to make one, and I would do it. I did it with VHS machines. Remember, I don't know, you guys, did you have VHS
Yeah.
in the UK?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
VHS, and they had a setting called SLP, and slow long play. And so I would do that, and I would take an inverter, and then a big, huge 12-volt battery, and then a Aquaview camera, which was meant for fishing, and that a buddy of mine had invented for fishing, Jeff Zernoff. And so I'm like, Jeff, you got to give me a bunch of your cameras. Okay, what are you going to do with them? I was like, I'm going to hunt Bigfoot with them. Oh, he's like, oh, okay, cool. So, so we get these big, huge tubs, put the VHS machine in, a voltage inverter, and a 12-volt battery. Then take these giant tubs and bury them, and then run a cable up a tree and just mount the camera on it. But it would run for 6 hours. And what I liked about the underwater cameras, they had an IR low light technology. And so that just, so I was using underwater cameras because once again, no one
Wow.
had invented the game trail.
Yeah. That's incredible,
So
man. Wasn't you the first to film a giant squid?
yes, yeah.
That's incredible, man.
And that story is simple too, because remember I told you about the trout.
Hmm.
Okay. So I'm thinking about that. It really haunted me. And I'm thinking, yeah. And Dick agreed with me that it's probably an animal, a female that gets out of its niche and decides not to breed for whatever reason. Its breeding mechanism doesn't work, or it just decides, I'm not going to do it. And so it doesn't breed. Instead, it absorbs its eggs. And so it lives longer and like way longer because it's just getting far more nutrition, and it doesn't have to maybe migrate up and down the water column. So here was my theory on giant squid: that a true giant squid stays deep and never comes up because I just figure that their blood would boil. They have a lot of copper in their blood, and they have ammonia in their blood. And I figured that they're just cannibals. So they stay down deep and wait for the smaller squid to migrate up and down the water column. And they go up to the surface and get the nutrients and bring the nutrients down, and they get eaten by their buddy who's gotten overgrown and just stays deep and just keeps growing and just cannibalizing its brethren. So that was my theory. And I just stuck to that theory. And so my goal was to catch a squid about 7 feet long, put a camera on it, which was kind of crude. I built a camera with one of those underwater cameras, but what I did is I took a well camera that's used for well exploring. That'll go down over past 1,000 feet deep. So I took a well camera with a cable and put a spike, my machine shop made a spike and washers and cotter pins. And the idea then was just to gently poke it through the fin of a 7-foot squid, and then have it so gravity would keep it aimed downwards, and then have that squid just let him go and let him go down to the depths again. And then hopefully we'll see something that sees it and tries to eat it. And that's just what happened. And
Wow.
took 8 years to get it verified. So when we saw the footage, I knew the tentacles were a good foot and a half wide, but it had not been verified up until it took about 8 years after we filmed that to get it verified by scientists that it was the first Architeuthis ducks ever filmed in the wild, ever filmed alive. And so
Whoa.
the true giant squid. But I also feel that it was not only a giant squid, it was a true giant squid. You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
obviously not every giant squid is not born giant. They start out small. But this one was truly huge. And we believe it, it could be, it was certainly 54 feet long.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's big. And the eye was like a foot and a half wide.
Wow.
Biggest eye ever filmed. Yeah.
That is incredible, man.
It was, but the funniest part is I used to tell my mom and dad when I was a little kid that I was going to be the one that filmed the giant squid. So when I was little, I would read and I was always into the science and I would read about the trying to get giant squid and the sucker marks on whales that they would see and whatever. And when I was like 6, 7 years old, I would tell my parents, well, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get it.
Man.
I'm going to get it. So it's funny how that manifested, right?
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
So,
incredible.
so it's a fun thing. And once again, that wouldn't have happened had I not had to go to the bathroom on that one
It's all
trip.
down to that pee, man. That
Yeah.
that that giant squid. I mean, we did we not know that that was actually there? Like, we wasn't sure that they were actually there. Is that right?
No, there was no
Yeah,
surety about anything. And the other thing is, I decide, okay, so there's some story I didn't tell you if you want to hear an inside story.
absolutely.
So I got asked to be the camera guy on what they call an exploratory documentary for Discovery on a show that was going to be called Rojo Diablo, the Red Devil. Okay, so I was just, camera guy. When you get invited to be the camera guy, you just keep your damn mouth shut. Don't screw up anything. Bring the right gear. You're in charge of all the gear and you're in charge of shooting, but just don't make waves. But I'm like, I have a theory. I had a theory, and so I packed. I secretly, at Discovery's time, I packed and I made a long mylar lure that I could attach to a camera, and I brought. It made sense to the producer, like, why are you bringing this big camera with this big reel and a crank? It's like, well, you never know. We might need it for this, for this doc that we're doing on the Rojo Diablo thing on the Humboldt squid, which don't get that big, but they are mean. So I brought it. So anyhow, so I, I just kind of snuck all this stuff down there, and so while everybody's sleeping, I'm thinking, okay, here's my moment. And the boat was going really slow, and they were navigating to some weird place to try to just get footage of these 7 foot squid. And so I lower my camera down, and I've got like, you ever done bass fishing, Tommy?
I've not done it myself. No.
Okay, well, bass fishing, they use a thing called a twister tail. It's
Hmm.
a tail that's curved, and then when it goes through the water, it kind of makes a swimming action. I built a giant one of those and brought it with, and I made it out of mylar, like shiny wrapping paper. So it's lightweight, but it could be big, right? And it would look really cool in the water. So I made this tail for my camera, and I've got like it's about 1,000 pound Kevlar core cable that I've wired to my camera. The camera's potted, so it can take the deep pressures. So it's got like epoxy in it. There's no air in it, complete epoxy. So everybody's sleeping. I lower this camera down, and I'm basically the boat's going slow enough, and I'm trolling now for giant squid. They don't know it, but that's what I'm doing. I'm not after 7 foot squid. I'm after 50, 40 footers. Guess what happened? Boosh! All of a sudden, my cable went just like in Jaws, went, and I'm like, oh my God. And the cable snapped. 1,000 pound cable just snapped that I had tied onto the gun rail of this big steel ship. it snapped it off. Like it was just like instant snap off. But I'm like, oh, I probably filmed whatever attacked my camera. And sure enough, I went under a tarp and a blanket and I looked and there it was. So,
Man.
but it was just the suckers. I could just see the arm, not the eye or the body of it. So I'm like, I just had a giant squid hit my thing. And so I knew that. And I'm like, okay, when I get an opportunity, now I know where to go. Took my GPS coordinates. I knew where to go. And I waited then, God, 10 years of waiting. And then the opportunity came to do it. And I put together this big expedition and built a pseudomorph to represent the same thing I had brought down there, basically, but more sophisticated. I still have it. And then everything went as planned. We caught a 7-foot squid, attached the camera on him, let him go down to he made it to 1,000 feet. And then here come this monster out of the depths. That was just crazy. I don't know if you've seen a picture of it
Wow.
yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you
Absolutely,
can
man.
you can see it if you go to History Vault.
Hmm.
They have a thing called the Vault. It's free, I believe. You have to sign up. And there's a show that's called Predators of the Deep. And that's the show where they verify the giant squid that we filmed was the first Architeuthis ducks.
Man.
And
See,
I can send you a still capture of that if you want.
yeah, that would be
I can do
amazing.
that, and you can
Yes, please. Thank you.
yeah, and you can throw it in.
Thank you very much, man. Wow, that's incredible. You literally proved a cryptid.
But yeah, I did. But it's been how many years now since that was 2006. It's now 20 years later, and no one's been able to duplicate it. So I'm like,
Whoa.
30 years go by like that. It'll be kind of like the Patterson footage, you know?
Yeah. Do you get that? Do people try and debunk it and stuff like that? And because you're gonna.
No, you haven't really. Not lately. Not since all these scientists all agreed on that it
Mhm.
was the first. But there were some arguments. I remember when one of the major people like Clyde Roper, and then there was the other guy that I really liked. He saw the footage, and the first reaction was like gut reaction. Whoa, that's big. But they didn't have any official way to measure it. So then the next time we went down, which inspired me to build a laser measuring lens adapter that would shoot two laser beams at any distance. Those beams would never change distance. So you could aim those beams at any object underwater, and you could then measure the entire creature without measuring it. And I had it registered. I had it all, dialed in. Turned out really cool. And then that's being used now. I just saw it on a National Geographic show. Everybody's using my lens now. So that's kind of cool.
That is so cool, man.
And I used it to film the world's biggest crocodile over, I don't know, it was like 23, 24 feet in India. And then we used it in the giant squid show, although we didn't have any luck that time. Which is, once again, you never know if you're going to be able to. It's like fishing. You don't know if you're going to get
Hmm.
fish, right?
Hmm.
And we don't know how common I would imagine they're quite rare to get that size.
Yeah.
And then we used it
Wow.
for Komodo dragon research for measuring because they're kind of ornery. You don't really. They used to capture them and then measure them. Well, now they can just film them, and it puts these two red dots on them, and they can just, go, oh, yeah, it's 7.5 feet exactly. So
Man.
the lens system came out of that too, out of the P break.
Yeah, it's all from the meat break. It's
So you're
incredible,
using
man.
it in shark research and all sorts of, such
Yeah.
a simple idea. Once again, I didn't invent the laser and I didn't invent the lens. I just combined them.
Yeah, that's so clever, man. That's
Yeah, it
so,
was
and
just
it's,
simple. Yeah, really simple.
yeah, well, simple, not for me. For someone like you, that might be simple, but that's so clever.
Yeah, so
And
it'd be
it's
kind of
changed, and
cool.
it's changed the game. As you say, they're still using it
Yeah,
today.
they're using it for a lot of wildlife research now, and it really works well. Yeah,
Yeah,
above water and below water doesn't matter. That's what's cool about it.
man, you need to go out and have you ever? I'm sure you have, but the Loch Ness monster. I don't know what
Oh,
your
yeah,
thoughts
yeah,
on
yeah,
that,
yeah,
but I
yeah,
mean,
of course. In fact, I did get, I'm not going to say what network, but a network called me and said, hey, we'd like to do a live show to try to catch the Loch Ness Monster. And I gave them a really nice proposal, had it all figured out how we're going to do this. So basically, my idea is to sweep the loch, all in the entire loch, the entire width, the entire length, and to basically do it in a way that's not that expensive.
hmm
And so I pitched that, and of course, they decided not to do what I wanted them to do. Whatever.
man, they
They
need to
didn't do
listen
it.
to you, man. They need to
Yeah.
listen to you. Whoa. I
But
mean,
I think it would have worked really well.
yeah, that would be
Because
interesting.
see, I had a lot of things that would if it's, no matter what it is, it would attract it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
part of the key. You can't just chase something.
hmm
You got to do a push pull, and you have to do it in a way like if. So me and my buddy worked on a thing one time, where you'd have like something spray a scent that would attract an animal, but then you spray like a human scent to repel the animal so you could control its movements through the forest. Push pull. So you push it and then you pull it and you push it and you pull it. That's kind of what I was going to do in the lock.
Man, you need to do it. You need to do
I'd
it.
like to, yeah. If somebody hears this and wants to.
Please,
It
we need
isn't
to
that
know.
expensive at all. The way I was so actually shocked that they turned it down. I don't know if they turned it
Yeah,
down because they didn't think it would work, or they turned it down because they thought it was too expensive. But I mean, it just wasn't expensive at all.
yeah, that needs to be done.
One of the things that I can do, which is really cool, is I know how to build high speed cameras that can travel through the water at really fast rates and
hmm
stay nice and stable and film really well. And so that's a cool because there's that element. So I had things like the element of surprise.
hmm
You have you have your sweep of baiting, and then you're pulling and you're pushing, and so you try all of these things, but you do it in the whole lock. You don't just because really the lock is not that big.
hmm
It's really not.
Yeah.
It's not on. If you get enough help, it's not a big deal.
And it can be measured, like you know exactly what you're dealing with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not that. It's not that.
Let's start a petition. Let's get it done because that would be incredible.
I'm all here. I'm
Let's
all here.
go. What were your thoughts on like? Because obviously the ocean is full of creatures that we don't know yet. We only know a
Yeah,
very small section of our
exactly.
ocean. I mean, there's possibility of megalodons. I don't know what your thought of on creatures like
Yeah,
that.
I did a show on that too. They're still reported by, especially down in Mexico, they're reported these megalodon sharks. And of course, there's a controversy. Are they reporting a whale shark or are they really seeing a megalodon? You know, and it's controversial, but
hmm
I've personally talked to a number of fishermen. They're like, no, I know what a whale shark looks like. This was not a whale shark. This was, a killer. Big
hmm
difference.
hmm
Whale sharks do not look like killers. They look harmless. And these guys are not stupid. These
hmm
fishermen, this is what they do all day.
Absolutely.
They're in those waters all day. And so they see a megalodon or a shark that just should not exist. It's 50, 60 feet long. And they tell you that. And they're like, no, we know the difference.
hmm
And so I tend to believe them.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Because there was a show. I think it was the History Channel. But it was like I think it was like a reenactment show. I'm not sure if it was like a real event or I'm not too sure. But they kind of they I don't know. I watched it, but they said that they put what do you call it to get the sharks to come up? Well, they put all like the blood and
Chum, chum.
chum. That's it. They put loads of chum in this certain part of the sea,
Yeah.
and loads of these sharks were coming up. They had loads, and all of a sudden on their radar they got this huge shark, and all the other sharks kind of dispersed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And but I don't know if it was. I mean, I'm sure you would know
That
about
wasn't
it.
my show, so I don't know. I have
Maybe
not
it wasn't
seen it.
legit.
It could be. It could be. Like I developed, and I still haven't used it yet, but I developed a shark vest that's got some really cool qualities. So one, you can just drop it on a shark and it'll buckle itself. So
Okay.
you don't have to catch it, haul it up on board, and put a collar on it and then put a camera on it. This thing, what you do is lure the shark between two boats, and it could be a big shark. And you just drop it, and it just self buckles on. But it's got bismuth releases that are made of bismuth, and so the water will eventually, pretty quickly, within weeks, will eat that metal and break that metal down, and the vest will float up, and then it shoots a beacon, a telemetry signal. So then you go pick it up, and then you can download the footage.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I have that built and
Man.
just sitting there waiting for it to be used. But that could be used on a really big great white, like, or a megalodon or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Man.
If you ever come to the U.S., I'll take you into this
Oh, that
room,
would be amazing.
room I have where I have like hundreds and hundreds of these kinds of props, and I mean, they're all inventions for wildlife. But it's kind of it's a fun room. I even enjoy going in there and going,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I remember when I built that. I didn't, yeah, I never got around to using that one.
Wow, not
But there's
yet.
all sorts of crazy contraptions in there, cool things and historical things. Yeah, it's fun.
Wow, man.
So if you ever get over here, we'll have
I'm
to hang
coming.
out.
Brother, you haven't got to ask me twice. I'm coming over there, man.
That's
I'd love to come over. That'd be amazing. Have you seen any other weird stuff in the oceans that you can't explain? I know there's a lot of
yeah.
legends and lore. Is there anything else
Yeah,
that's
I've had plenty of things that I've seen through the years. It doesn't happen often, but I don't know if you want to hear some other crazy
oh, I
stories.
want it all,
And
man.
it's a problem because I was the MonsterQuest guy. So if I see something weird, you know, uh, right away you've got like 30 points against you.
Yeah. Hmm.
He's the MonsterQuest guy there. Wink, wink, wink. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. But thank God that all of the things that I've seen in the last 20 years have been with Yvette, which is nice. There's been two of us that have witnessed it.
Hmm.
So one of the weirdest things that was really life changing for me, and I was doing Monster Quest at the time, and I kept telling them they wanted to do a Mothman show, and I kept going, nah, there's no evidence. Rick, I would chuckle about that topic. And there was never any evidence. So I'm like, well, what am I going to do it on? Because I've got it. It's all about analyzing evidence and conducting science. How can I conduct science on that? I can't, there's really nothing I can do. And so we're driving home. It's on a road called 35W in Cloquet. Clear night, like no clouds in the sky, full moon. And we're driving. I even remember the song that was playing on the radio. It was Vincent by uh, Don McLean. There's a song called Vincent by Don McLean. And that's playing. So it was just a chill night. It's beautiful weather. And all of a sudden, kind of like when I had to go to the bathroom, suddenly things change. We see something up in the sky by the moon that's just like long and straight. It's the best way I can, just like a board in the sky, but it's just shiny. And all of a sudden it dropped straight down like a spider on a web and stopped suddenly. And it stopped out in front of us, like dropped and just stopped. And then it headed right for the windshield of my Corvette. And it just kept coming closer and closer, about, 7 feet off the freeway, off the ground. And it finally got pretty close, and Yvette she ducked. She thought it was coming through the windshield. And eventually I ducked too, but I waited maybe a split second longer. But we both got a look at this thing, and the wings were about the width of the freeway. Shiny wings, no feather, a face that kind of looked like very much humanoid with black eyes, pointed ears. I mean, right out of a horror movie. Like people just, when I tell people, they're like, "Whoa, like the Jeepers Creepers
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
Have you seen that
Yeah.
movie?"
Jeepers Creep. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I guess that's what it looked like.
Whoa.
But here's where it gets weird. So I call my agent the next day and I told him what happened. And I'm like, I'll do that Mothman show. I'm suddenly interested now. So I'm not laughing anymore. Wipe the smile right off my face. And we were shook up about it, but I took it as kind of a message as maybe I just need to not be such a butthole and, put people down. It was humbling. And
Interesting.
I know whatever it was real because we both saw it. It was just too perfect, everything. So anyhow, and he's like, yeah, you probably saw an owl or a, I'm like, Dale, its wings were as wide as the freeway, 2 lanes on the freeway. It wasn't an owl. It wasn't a crane. I mean, I get to look this thing in the eyes. It was definitely otherworldly. And so, anyhow, I ended up doing it, but I found witnesses right around there and just south of there that'd seen the same thing. And one of them had the thing dive at their car the same exact way.
Whoa.
Except they pulled over and they were throwing up. They were sickened. We didn't throw up, but what happened to us that was weird is we got chills from our waist down. Like our legs went numb from the waist down, both of us.
Interesting.
So that was really weird, because normally you get like the goosebumps and, you have the hair on the back. No, none of that, but it was all the waist down. Like our legs just tangled from, like, we thought it was fear. It may have been something else. So, and that's something that's not ever going to happen, but it affected her so bad that to this day, if I want to take her, go somewhere and it's dark and we have to go where there's woods, like, we're in a car safe on the freeway, not happening. She's not
Wow.
going.
Yeah.
She won't go. And, it scares both of us at night because we're thinking, well, what if that dived at us while we didn't have a car? Would we be a missing 411 couple or what would happen? So
Man.
you think about those things. I
Hmm.
take the garbage out on Wednesday. It scares the crap. I'm like, my
Yeah.
head's on a swivel.
Yeah, I imagine, man. That's
And if you
terrifying.
haven't seen anything like that, you can't plan on it. It just gets you.
Hmm.
Just like I said, we were just having a great evening driving it back home from up north and relaxed, and all hell broke loose.
Wow. Can you remember if the face was it like a human face or like a? Can you remember what
Like
type of face it was?
very gargoyle-y, human looking, but with black eyes and pointed ears on the side.
Whoa.
Just jet black. The eyes didn't glow. They were just jet black, a little bigger than probably normal.
Hmm.
It just looked mean. And you're like, well, what was the purpose of that? And I'm like, it must have been just to scare us. Because what other purpose would that do? And why did it? It was like it was waiting there and it just, choop, and then
Hmm.
right at the car. And you've seen a spider drop on a web and just stop suddenly. That's what it did.
Hmm.
Like it just caught us. So we didn't have, we're like, what is that? What is that? Yeah. Then, and then right in our windshield. And we
Wow.
didn't have a lot of warning.
Yeah, man. And as you
And,
say,
and, and
when
no,
two
and
of
no
you saw,
wing flapping, no wing flapping at all.
yeah.
It just glided. And the other thing too that you kind of know it's otherworldly because how do you drop straight down with your wings out? You
Hmm.
can't.
Hmm.
A normal creature is going to have to glide, towards you. No, 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 no. It's not what it did. Dropped straight down and made a right angle for us.
Whoa. How long
With
did
its,
that interaction last for, would you say?
oh, just see it,
I know that's
drop
difficult.
straight
Yeah.
down. That's coming at us, and I probably took 3 seconds to get at the windshield, to get towards, to get close to the windshield where she ducked, and then I ducked probably at 4 seconds, and that was the end of it. It was over, and she made
Wow.
me pull over because she thought it might be attached to the roof
Hmm.
that had landed on the roof. So I had to go to a lighted area, to pull over to a gas station.
Hmm.
And I had to get out of the car and check. That was like I said, it's
Yeah.
not on the roof. There's no way we would know if it was on the roof. And so those are the kind of weird things. And then we've had a couple other things in the last 20 years. Not a lot, but we had one time. It was a beautiful summer day, kind of early summer, and she wanted to go, sunbathe on the deck. And so she gets out there first, and I had to go. I throw my trunks on, go out on the deck. She's already kind of, getting into it. And I put on the lotion and the oil or whatever it was, I'm laying there, and all of a sudden she starts screaming. I just had closed my eyes, and she starts screaming. And I look at her. You know, when someone's screaming, you look at them. I should have known to look where she was looking, but I'm not that smart. So I looked at her, and she's like, and I'm like, there's there's a UFO parked right by the railing of the deck, about a rake's length away from me, like a rake handle away. And it's just sitting there. And I'm looking at it and it's changing shape. It's black, like a Vanta black. And it's not that huge, but it's like this. But it's going from a circle to a triangle to an oval to a tic tac shape and it's changing. So I don't know if it's rotating slow or if it's actually morphing into these different shapes. And I grab my camera, which is right on the little, and there's a little table between us, glass table. And I grab it. I'm real slow and cool about this. Just pretending it's like a deer I want to get, a video of. And I turn it on. It's kind of bright and sunny, so it's kind of hard to see all those dumb buttons and, whatever. And I get the camera activated and I get it on video and I start recording. And I go like this. And literally when my hand is going like this, it's shooting up to the clouds. And then I just continued to film it and I'm happy to send that footage to you.
Oh, yeah, please.
And I'm
Thank you.
filming it right in the clouds as it's kind of changing shape, even in the clouds. And I couldn't even see it because I'm just aiming my phone where I saw it head to. I mean, it got there really quick to the bottom of the cloud base.
Wow.
And so then we go in the garage where it's kind of darkened and so we can see the footage. And I ended up getting it. We see it, and I sent it immediately off to my buddy who could, he was do like make it 500% and stabilize it and do all this stuff. But we get back out outside, and here comes another one right out of the water, right in front of us. It just comes out of the water, and this one headed from the water right to the clouds. And it was more of a pill shape, the one, but it was jet black. So we were wondering, was it the same one? And what the hell is living in our lakes, Tommy? Now I got to deal with that too.
Yeah.
There's crap living in our water? You know what I mean? That's scary. It's right in front of our house. Are these things living in the lake? And then, of course, years later, what did we hear about all last year? Oh, these little drones are all living in the water. And I'm like, well, we knew that going way back, like in, whenever it happened, like 2012 or whatever, we knew that way back then. We witnessed it.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like old news, right?
Wow. I mean, I know it's difficult, but what do you think those things were? Do you think they
I
were?
have no idea. It looks semi biological to me. And I did some research and I realized that from the ground to it, you could almost stretch it out to 300 miles straight up, is a ecosystem. The world's biggest ecosystem. We don't know what's in that ecosystem. We don't know nothing about it. You know how we have creatures living off sulfuric fumes? They're living off all sorts of chemical processes, not your normal food intake, right? They're absorbing chemicals, and they're creatures that live at volcano events, blah, 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 all these weird, harsh environments. And then I'm thinking, maybe this is just a creature that's just making a living. And it's not mechanical. It's just complete biological. It's just an animal we don't know because there's nobody studying that ecosystem.
Yeah.
We have planes hitting them. I did a little research and found out all the accidents that happen. And of course, they often get counted as bird strikes. But I then ended up calling some engineers that have looked at this stuff, even people in the FAA, and they're like, that wasn't a bird strike. Because it would have been a
Ah.
bird strike, there would have been blood, and there was no blood,
Hmm.
and the shape was perfectly round, or that kind of thing.
Hmm.
And so this happens quite often with both military aircraft, commercial aircraft. They have strikes, they have things that happen. I'm like, okay, well, that fits my theory. But now, what else happens that fits my theory? Oh, so I start doing research about a lot of like fish. They school up, and that's been seen all over the world. Schools of weird. They call them fleets and they call them drones and UFOs, but this stuff goes way back, long before there were these little like Chinese drone swarms.
Hmm.
And so then one day we're out bass fishing on our lake, and we have a great day. It's a beautiful day. It's 70 degrees, which is interesting to take note of the weather. The weather is always nice, like perfect weather, which is well, that's interesting. So, and I've had a really great day bass fishing. I just caught a huge bass. It was probably 10 pounds. And it had gotten off. It fought it for quite a while on light line. And finally, it's like, okay, we're going in. So we headed in and we get up to my dock and we're going to park my boat. And I got to keep my eye on the dock because it's a big enough boat where I got to watch what I'm doing or I'll knock my dock over. And she starts screaming, doing the famous scream. And I'm looking at her going, what? What am I, am I going to hit the dock? What's going on? She's like, look. And all of a sudden I just kind of like woke up and I looked and there's probably anywhere between 3 to 1,000 UFOs, UAPs in our yard, all over our roof, all over our trees, all over the yard, on the ground. And they're swimming. They're doing the notions and the movements, but they're sparkling. And then they turn white, and then they go black, jet black, and then they disappear completely for a little while. And then they come back, and then they multiply. Like five will come out of one. I saw some that 20 went into one, both directions, expanding out of one and coming into one. And I'm filming all this with my phone. I'm just filming this. I'm literally have time to do zooms, close-ups, Tommy. I'm all over my, nice contrast ones on the roof and the yard, the trees. They're just swarming our house. And I'm looking at a vet. And I'm like, aren't you getting this too? She's like, oh, and she's just like, yeah, get your phone. Start filming this. And right then they started moving off. And they got above the neighbor's house and kept going up. And I'm like, oh my God, that's got to be the best UAP, whatever phenomena we're dealing with. That's the best footage in the world, guaranteed, because I'm a camera guy and I'm
Hmm.
getting, perspective shots, I'm getting close ups, I'm getting zooms. These things were definitely otherworldly. Um, and we park the boat excitedly. We get in the house, go in the garage, where it's dark, where we can see all this fun. I'm so excited. My phone won't turn on.
No.
No, yeah, it won't turn on. So I thought, oh, it's dead. So I plug it into the charger and we're waiting for it to come on. It's a pretty new phone. It's like 3 days old. So it's like the latest and greatest iPhone. It doesn't come on. So I go get in the car. Let's go up to Sprint. So we hop in the car, we run up to Sprint. I tell these two young guys the whole story. Like, you've got to get this footage off. Is there like a card in there? Is there some way to get it off? And they're like, yeah, oh, yeah, we'll get it off, whatever. And I tell them, I said, you got to this. I just told them the whole story. They were actually excited to get the footage off. And they go in the back room and they don't come back out. They're just in there. They're back there for a long time. We just keep pacing out in the showroom and we go outside and we pace. Finally, the guy comes out and he goes, your phone's a brick, dude. I go, what do you mean it's a brick? And he goes, well, it won't conduct any electricity. It's a brick. It's like it's
Whoa.
made of clay. And I went, oh, that's perfect. I said, so you guys can't do anything? He's like, no, here, take it over to our buddy who does a lot of like, he does everything, glass replacement, getting this off, that off. So we bring it over here and we drop it off at this guy's house. And we wait like 2 weeks. And finally we get it back from him and he's like, dude, it's a brick. And I'm like,
Man.
what do you mean by a brick? I keep hearing this term. I'd never heard this term. He goes, no, it's a brick. It's like it's made out of clay. Like it won't conduct anything. And it's like, well, how is that possible? Because I have no idea. And I'm
Man.
so long story short, um, we got footage on hers, but they were farther away, which is no, I mean, it's really cool footage. You can see them disappear and reappear and sparkle, and you can see all that. But I was getting footage that was like 20 feet away. The
So
big difference.
maybe you had something there that whoever the powers that may be,
I
they
don't
didn't
know.
want you
I
to have
don't
it.
know.
That's
But the other
incredible.
thing is that all of our low voltage burned out in our home. All of like the HDMI ports on the TV burned out. All the thermostats burned out in our home. All of the low voltage, the burglar alarm, the vacuum clean, all this low voltage crap. We're not covered by UFOs. So
Hmm.
I get no insurance. So that was like, oh, and my boat, which is electric, all the computer burned out, the controller burned out, and the thing, and all the batteries burned out.
Man.
And my phone. So my phone was $800. So I had to buy a new phone. And I had to replace the controller. It was like $1,200 on my boat. And then all this stuff. So it was like 10 grand that day cost me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So whatever these things were, the energy that they were giving off and taking must have been
Yeah. Well,
insane.
the story's still not over though. So that, do you want to hear the rest of the story?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. I'm just making sure. So that night, we're home and we're just like scratching our day, our heads like thinking this is a crazy day. And we're sitting there, we're watching a movie. We had supper, we're watching a movie, we're talking still about what we saw. And all of a sudden, there's a yellow light flashing on my wall, just right above the TV. It's just flashing yellow. It's just sheetrock, it's painted white sheetrock. And I go, why is there a tow truck in our driveway? Because we have windows, and I figured, well, there's a tow truck out there, and the lights are because we're in my garage. It's like my workshop, my garage. It's one of my happy places, Tommy. And so,
The man
so
cave.
it's my man, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but I said, why is there a tow? She goes, open the door. So I hit the garage door. There's nothing out there. So I shut it, and all of a sudden her cats start. She has two Siamese cats. They happen to be downstairs, and they were screaming like they were being murdered. Two cats. Siamese can be really loud. And so they were screaming like they're being murdered. And we raced downstairs. And the cats are just like this. They're just looking at us like, what's wrong? And we're just like, why are you killing each other? What's going on? And they're just like staring at us. So we're still really confused now by the lights and the cats. It gets worse. This gets worse this evening. So we go back up, trying to settle down again. All of a sudden, we hear a whistling sound, like in the Roadrunner. They ever seen the Roadrunner cartoon? And the coyote drops the bomb over the cliff, and you hear that whistling. The bomb's coming. The bomb whistle. We hear that. It's coming louder and louder and closer, and then boom on our roof. Loud. I mean, the whole house shakes. God, boom. Then we hear running. Oh, yeah. We hear running across our roof. Bipedal running. And she's like, and she's freaking out, and I'm freaking out. And she's like, go see what that was. I said, are you nuts? This is back when she was brave, right? This is before the Mothman experience. She's real brave. We'd see an orb and it would head into the woods. She'd be like, cool, cool, should we go follow it? I'm like, okay. This was the old her. So now, and the old her was like, yeah, open the door and go see what that was. Whoa, Siri decided to go off on me. Um, so anyhow, so we hear this boom, we hear the running, and I'm like, morning. It'll wait till morning. She's like, well, what if the roof's damaged? I was like, it's not going to rain. We'll wait till morning. I'll check the roof out in the morning. Because it was weird. Like it was a big boom and it was running. And at this point, we're believing anything. The cats, the lights, the crap all over our roof. Like, what's going on today? This is all one day. And so, so this isn't over yet. So the next morning now comes. So I brave now. It's sunny out. I open the door and I go out there. Oh, well, what happened to my car? So my car, and I've got, once again, I can send you the photos if you want.
Yes,
So my
please.
car is covered in what looks like vomit, like something puked, like it ate sawdust. It looks like cellulose, like dead, no calorie cellulose, like it ate sawdust and then vomited because it ate sawdust all over my car. But here's where it was weird. The front of the car was only maybe 2 feet from the garage door, but yet there was vomit shot into the grill. But where did that come from? I could see it falling from the sky and it was splattered on the driveway. It was splattered on the car. And it's a kind of a navy blue car. So it showed up really well. This stuff's kind of a whitish sawdust. If there's stuff just squirted into the grill. I'm like, well, doesn't make any sense. How did it do that? And I had just washed my car like the day before. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go out and collect this stuff. So it's like, because I want to see, is it cellulose? Like I think. And funny enough, they were building a house next door to us, and there's a lot of sawdust around. Okay, take note. So I get a popsicle stick and a new baggie, and I have a buddy that owns a research lab. He does gas chromatograph, analyzing of water pollution, and does a lot of that kind of stuff. So I scrape quite a large volume, and it doesn't. It surprises me. It doesn't stick to the paint. It's not sticking to the paint at all. It just comes off like it's Teflon. It goes right in the bag. I got a big good bag of it. I take it, I seal it up, and I put it on my daughter's ATV. She has a little electric ATV at that time, and I sit on the running board, make sure it was there. My garage is spotless, like it's got a gray vinyl floor. It's completely spotless. Very, very few things in there. And I called Joe and I go, Joe, I need you to get over. It's my assistant. Get over here, grab this bag. I tell him the story. I said, you got to get it up to Alan to get it analyzed. I need it mailed today, blah, blah, blah. And so he shows up and he goes, well, I went and washed my car because it was embarrassing. I mean, you'll see it. It was like some drunk just kept vomiting all over
Man.
my thing. So Joe gets over and he goes, where's the sample? It's right there on AJ's running board on the ATV. He goes, no, it's not. I'm like, no, what do you mean it's not? I just put it there like 20 minutes ago. And he goes, it's not there. And I'm like, well, we'll find it. So we look and we search everywhere in that garage. And that garage is spotless. And it's nowhere. There's no way it could have blown up. There's no way it could have, just couldn't. And of course, I had just washed my car. So that was the end of that until the next morning when the tree that those things were surrounding had grown 13 to 20 feet straight up.
In a
Like two
day.
sticks. You had one day, two sticks, like two cane poles with one leaf on each one. Two of them sprouted up from a perfectly round maple tree. I mean, maple trees are, we have these beautiful, I think they're silver maple. They're just always a perfect shape, right? and there's these two sticks just shooting straight up out of the tree. And I snapped a picture and sent it to David Race because I was worried. He's a comedian who's really into the paranormal. He's a stand-up comedian. I sent him to David, and David calls me back, and he goes, "Put your house up for sale immediately." That's what he said. And I'm like, "Oh my God, this is like, 2 days of just nuts." And, he knew the story, and that's the end of that story. There's no
Wow,
end. There's no end. I mean,
that is
I had to hire a
wild.
tree service to cut those embarrassing sticks off. They were just, they
Man,
literally had a new leaf growing on each one. They did not exist because we have a picture window. I walk by on this like bridge in my upstairs, and every time you see out that window and you see that tree every day. And when I saw those two sticks, I'm like, well, that's about like 7 months of growth in one night.
that's incredible,
And
man.
then why the straight up with no branches, no sticks, just one little leaf at the top. It was literally, it looked like two antennas that sprouted up on my tree.
Man,
Straight. And those branches were straight as an arrow.
that
You know,
is
people,
wild.
yeah. So that's the end of that story.
Did anything like that ever happen again, or was that just a
No,
crazy?
no, never.
Wow, that's
So
so
this is,
interesting.
it isn't like this stuff happens all the time. It's just,
Hmm.
you go through that little patch and then it's over.
Yeah, that's how it seems to be with the
It's
paranormal a
like
lot
a
of the time.
patch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
it's
get
like a
patches
patch.
of activity, nothing for a long time, then
Right.
weird
Well,
stuff happens.
well, thank God, because you'd go insane. Like
Yeah,
I would lose my mind if things like that happened every week.
yeah. I mean, maybe that's why these things don't happen all the time because these things are aware of that. Maybe I don't know, but
Right.
that is interesting, man. I
Yeah.
mean, the 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 entities, whatever they were that you were recording, the UFOs, whatever they
Yeah.
were,
I
when
have no idea.
when you got close to them, were they just like a light, or could you see like movement inside them? Is there?
No, they would sparkle, like really sparkle. And there's just footage of other people that have shot these things,
Hmm.
which is they are the same thing.
Yeah.
They sparkle and then they move, like a whole group of them will move and they'll all turn just white.
Hmm.
And then they'll go the other direction, they're all black, jet black. Then they'll go maybe a different direction, they just gone. They
Yeah.
disappear completely. And then they move again and they're white or they're sparkly. So they have three phases: invisible, black, or white. No, sparkly, white, and black, and invisible. 4 stages.
And the
Yeah,
thing that landed on your roof was, I
I don't
mean,
know
any
what that
idea what
was.
that
I
was?
have no clue. But it ran. What did
Yeah.
we hear running? It
Yeah.
sounded bipedal and heavy.
Because Bigfoot and
We've
flights and things like that sometimes correlate, sometimes go together. I know
we're
that.
afraid to speculate on what
Yeah.
landed on the roof. That one, but
Yeah.
we know whatever it was probably correlated with the vomit stuff all over my
Yeah,
car.
man. Wow. That's
There's got to be
incredible.
a correlation between that. So what?
Yeah.
So you have to ask, what was that all about? And we don't even want to speculate because I wouldn't be able to sleep at night.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's scary. I mean, that's some scary stuff.
That is, man. Because you, you
Yeah.
you said just like before you're the MonsterQuest guy and stuff, and
Hmm.
I totally get that because when I experience paranormal and I share it on the show, you're like, oh, it's the paranormal podcast. Of course, he's always having paranormal stuff happen.
Yeah.
I
Right.
think it's right to document when we experience stuff.
Right.
But do you think it's something to do with being open to this kind of stuff, and that's
Sure.
why we might
Sure.
experience it?
Well, I think it's not only open, but we're more aware. But then
Mhm.
again, I mean, you didn't have to be too aware to notice 1,000 orbs floating around your house. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You didn't be real intelligent or keen to pick up on that. I don't know. It's like I was having a buddy of mine. We're talking today. We were over at my workshop talking, and he was asking. He said, "If you were a betting man, what do you think these Bigfoots are?" I said, "I really don't know. They're like sometimes I think they're ultra terrestrials. Sometimes I think they're just completely regular, like human-like creatures."
Hmm.
Other times I think they're like aliens, and other times I think they're like ghosts. I don't know. I have no idea.
Do you think there's a mix?
So,
Do you think they're a mixture? They could be all of those things.
yeah, or they could be like Jim said to me, he goes, well, what if there's different kinds? And I
Yeah.
said, yeah, it's a possibility too. That would throw us all off the scent, right? We'd
Hmm.
all be confused. If some were flesh and blood and some were like, oh,
Yeah.
like, watch me fly. I can do anything I want. But these guys that are flesh and blood, they're just pooping in the woods and eating deer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know. I don't know.
That's kind of how it seems.
I think there's a lot, I think there's a veil, and I think there's a lot of wildlife and creatures that we don't see on a regular basis. But think of it this way. When you go on the water in the ocean or a lake, there's a lot of life below the water, right? And all you see is the surface. You don't see the millions of creatures, small and big, that live in that water. It's another dimension.
Hmm. Hmm.
Well, what if I think it's kind of like that right alongside us? I think there's another kind of life lake. I call it a life lake of things that we just don't know anything about because okay, here's a great analogy. We know nothing about the life lake as fish would know about us. Has a fish ever been in your office and looked at your microphone and your posters and your cool lights and your cool furniture? And would it know what they were if it saw it?
No.
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 It's in its world. It's in the lake. Even if you brought the damn fish and put him in a bowl, he
Yeah.
still would kind of stay in his own world. It just,
Hmm.
his brain couldn't comprehend it. And I think if we're like that, I think there's so much stuff that we can't
That
comprehend
makes
it.
a lot of sense. Yeah.
Like an ant. What does an ant think when you walk by it? I don't, it sees a shadow.
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't think an ant can really see you.
Yeah.
You're in a different dimension,
That's so true, man. Yeah, we might
you
not be able
know?
to comprehend, and we just get a little glimpse every now and again of these things, and it
Yeah.
blows our mind, and we're not quite sure what to make of it.
And then one time my son, Blaine, he goes, Dad, he goes, do you think aliens are nice or do you think they're good? And while he was asking me, I was unhooking a fish and I unhooked it and I threw it in the water. And I go, about like that. And he goes, oh, yeah, I get it. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to hurt the fish,
Hmm.
but I don't really care because I didn't exactly like bend over the gunwale and like gently let it go. It was a sunfish. And I
Hmm.
just tossed it over the rail. I mean, it's free now, it's gone.
Yeah.
I use barbless hooks, but I don't really, it's indifference. It's kind of an
Yeah.
indifference. I don't go out of my way to hurt them. I actually go out of my way to not hurt them with using barbless hooks.
Hmm.
But I'm not, I just
Yeah.
toss it over my shoulder back into the water.
Yeah.
And that made sense to him. I guess for the first time it sunk in like, yeah, that's just indifference.
Hmm. Yeah, it does make sense. Like in your mind, you've put the fish back. It's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
There might be some issues with the fish, like,
It might be. I don't know. You know
but
what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Most of the time it's probably okay. He has a little
hmm,
hole in its cheek, but
yeah,
it'll heal. And, I didn't kill it and I didn't torture it and I didn't mean it harm, but I had fun
hmm,
catching it.
hmm,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
absolutely.
And, and I also think that aliens must have a sense of humor. I think Bigfoots definitely do. I've witnessed Bigfoot's sense of humor. They love to scare the living crap out of you, and I guarantee they're laughing about it. Just like Native Americans here in North America, the Indians have the best sense of humor in the world. I mean, there's no sense of humor better than the Native Americans in like Minnesota that I've met. In other places, there was a father and son I spent like 10 days with up in Canada. They didn't speak any English. They just spoke their native language. I didn't speak any of their language, didn't speak any of mine. But we had to spend 10 days together fishing. Then I was doing a documentary, right? And the Canadian government, I think, had hired me. Yeah, that's what it is. Because I just turned over all my footage. But they had hired me to spend time with these guys. And we had the funnest time ever, even though we didn't know any of our language. But we laughed
Wow.
so much. There was so much laughter, like really a different kind of laughter that I would have with like my friends. I mean, it hurt when we laughed. We laughed
Wow.
often and a lot, and we had a great time. But we communicated through humor,
Yeah.
laughter.
It was more like physical, facial
Yes,
expressions and things like that. Yeah.
yes, a lot of deer. But anyhow, so I think we live in a life like in the lake. We can't see below the surface, but every once in a while, a fish jumps out of the water into our world,
That makes a lot of
and
sense. With
and
with
every once
so
in a
much of this paranormal stuff, that
yeah,
makes a
there
lot of
is.
sense.
Yeah, because, think about, go back, let's go back 50 years. Did people talk about this stuff? No. Because if word would have got out, it would have gotten like gossip through their church.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They would have been shunned in their own community. Now we don't care, we don't worry about that stuff
Mm-hmm.
anymore.
Yeah, we do podcasts and
Yeah, yeah, we don't care. But 50
that's
years
what's
ago,
great. Yeah.
50 years ago, people really cared. They were not telling these stories.
Mm-hmm.
They could have had all sorts of crazy stuff. I mean, I think just as much crazy stuff happened 50 years ago or 100 years ago than happens now.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
it's not talked about. It's just, you know, um, and I regret not asking my grandparents, did you ever see a ghost? Did you ever, I never get to ask that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I regret that.
Well, you hear
Have
that
you ever
often.
asked your grandparents or
I
your
actually am lucky enough that I have. I have. My granddad's not with us anymore. Both my granddads are not with us anymore, but we're both very open to like the paranormal. And my granddad had this experience where he saw a UFO whilst walking the dogs one day.
but he never brought it up. You asked him.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And I was always fascinated by it. And I would ask him
Yeah.
to tell me again and stuff like that. And very recently, actually, my nan's still with us, and I said to my nan, like, was that story true that Granddad used to tell me all the time about the UFO? And she was like, yeah, he came home one day and he had this wild experience, and yeah, it was true. And yeah, so luckily I have heard stories, but I know so many cases where grandparents, and especially, would say, don't talk about this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Those
It's
stories all die with
stop.
them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
For
Which
the
is
last
such a
five,
shame.
6 generations are it's gone. But
Absolutely.
this generation's new. I mean, it's new, and we're all more willing to talk about it,
Hmm. Hmm.
which I think is good. And I think dots are going to start getting connected. I can give you an example
Hmm.
of something that kind of, in my mind is historical happened last night on my podcast. I had a guest on I know quite well, a researcher, and he's playing sounds, audio, that he didn't record, but another couple did. And you're always like sitting on the fence. Is this real? Is this not? Is it fake? It sounds really interesting or whatever. And then all of a sudden, he played something that was recorded in 2005 that matched exactly what me, Chris Reinhardt, Adam Colt, and Bud Hoffines recorded up at Snell Grove, 500 miles away from the nearest person. This deep, almost hummingbird wing like hum. It's really loud and it shakes, kind of vibrates the speakers and your body when you play it back. And all of a sudden he plays one of those. He didn't think anything of it. But when I heard it, I'm like, okay, that qualified everything I had heard. It qualified their footage. It qualified their footprint gas because there's no way, unless they're freaking time travelers,
Hmm.
that they would have known about this hum. And here's why, because I'm the one that discovered it. I'm the one that put it out to the world. I'm the one that heard it first and then mentioned it. And then people are like, damn, I recorded something like that too. I'm going to go check my thing. And damn, I think I recorded it. And then another guy's like, oh, here's an article from the 1800s that talks about a woman washing her clothes by the bank. And she hears this hum. And she looks up and expecting to see a hummingbird. And it's a mother Sasquatch with her infant standing there. Things like that, right? So
Hmm.
starting to connect the dots. And so as I put it out there, so it's important once in a while to put this stuff out there because sometimes it connects dots. And
Yeah.
so here's Carl innocently playing this. And even he knew about the hum phenomena. It never got his light bulb to go off. And then all of a sudden he played it and I go, Carl, that's the hum. That's exactly, here's what I record. And it matches exactly what Tristan recorded. And this guy recorded thousands of miles apart, all in
Wow.
association with Bigfoot. And it was insane. So you can go to my show, okay, at the very end, like the last minute
Hmm.
of my show last week, Untold Radio AM, you will find that sound because we play it right before I end credits again. And that's the hum I'm talking about. You feel free to play it.
Wow.
Feel
Thank
free
you,
to
man.
play it.
Thank you,
And
man.
because it's because I want it out there.
Hmm. Hmm.
So the more people that put it out, the more people are going to hear it and go, "Oh, I've recorded that too, but I didn't know it was anything.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't
That's
know
why
it
it's
was
so
important."
important to share and document this stuff
Right. And
because we're
so it
putting the
was.
pieces together. Yeah.
But here's why it was historical. Because for the first time, the hum, because this was all recorded in 2005, verified all of the stuff they had done, which
Hmm.
is footage of creatures, which I always thought was real. Footage or foot castings, and also just like verified that these people aren't hoaxing
Hmm.
because there was no such thing as the hum
Wow.
unless they're time travelers.
Yeah. That's so
Didn't
cool, man.
exist. So
That's
that
so
means it's a
cool.
bias. See, but there's an example of historical communication that we need more of.
Hmm. Hmm. The more we document, the more we can put these pieces together.
Yes, yeah, we all need to share this stuff, and this is why, like,
Absolutely.
your show is so important. I'll guarantee someone's going to hear this. Is it this year, next year? That goes, dudes, I recorded this too back in 19 whatever, and we were on this thing, and
Hmm.
I had a guy. We literally like the day after we put it out there, one guy contacted and said, not only did I hear it, I had no idea what it was, but I was like paralyzed in my tent the entire day because of it. And and he came on, he told his whole story. It's insane.
Hmm.
But he kept hearing this humming. It's like a purry hum. If you can imagine like hummingbird wings right by the microphone, this flutter. And I have it on my phone. I can once again I can send you some stuff
Yeah. Thank you,
and
man.
you can edit it in for your audience because this isn't live. It's just
Hmm. We
pre-recorded,
can put it
right?
in. We can
So you
put
can
it
put
in.
it in.
Yeah.
That's a nice thing about that.
Man,
When you
that's
do a live
so
show, you're kind of you
interesting.
can't
Yeah,
really do that.
it's a different ball game.
Yeah,
But
no, it's
it's
awesome.
so interesting, man.
So there you go. There's everything I know.
Absolutely. Have you seen a Bigfoot?
Yeah, we've had really two really good sightings. Do you want to hear them?
Yeah, if you don't mind, man. If we've got
No,
sort of
that's
you
fine.
did say to me before we started you've got six
I'm
and a
just
half
getting over
hours.
a cold and
Yeah,
a
no,
flu.
we'll wrap it
So
up soon.
I'm doing okay, but
I've
you didn't
loved
get
talking
that.
to you, man.
You get
Yeah.
that fun postnatal, that
Yeah.
post a nasal drip that happens. Okay, so we were driving once again from up north on our way home, and we were on a road called 169 by Mille Lacs Lake, which is a really huge lake you can't even see across. And there happens to be a lot of there's a big native reservation there, a Ojibwe native reservation. And so we passed the reservation and right on the edge, or I think it was probably still on the thing, outside us, what they call a scientific area, which the reason they call it a scientific area, people aren't allowed in there. You're not allowed. Nobody's allowed to go in there. I don't know what they're investigating. I'm not sure. It's just in the woods. I don't know. They call it a scientific area. Imagine that
Strange. Yeah.
Bigfoot was there. So anyhow, we were driving, and we think what we're seeing is a moose, the side of the road, waving its antlers like this, kind of standing up, waving its antlers. As we get closer, we realize the antlers are really arms, and what we think are the tines on the antlers are fingers. And these are big fingers. And this is a big, broad shouldered, but from the back. It's got its back and it's literally doing like a hula and it's drying off. You can see the long hair, bottom of the arms, right at the side of the road. And it's lit up in my halogen headlights on my Corvette. Um, the poor Corvettes, it's like the monster vet keep seeing monsters in this thing. So anyhow, so we get closer and closer, and we're just stunned. And Yvette, she goes, "It's like Snuffleupagus," was coming out of her mouth. And it was massive. I mean, it was definitely 8 foot tall. It had really broad shoulders,
Wow.
and it was windy that night and quite hot. And literally, there's no shoulder to pull over, and I know two other cars saw it behind me. There's no way they could have. I mean, they had to have seen it. And so what I think happened, it was quite hot and humid that night. It went out, went for a swim, because right where a creek empties into that big lake, and it was just drying off before it went back into the woods, into the scientific area, by the way.
Interesting.
Yeah, into the scientific area, because that's it was right in front of the scientific area that no people
Man,
can go into.
that is
Um,
strange.
it is a little weird, yeah. And so we got a real, I mean, we were within 4 feet of it.
Wow. Do you say what color that was? What color it was?
Just a brown, just a beautiful kind of a chocolate
Interesting.
brown, yeah. And
Wow.
I mean, we had lit it up so bright that you could see its spine, its skin under the hair as the wind was blowing the hair. Um, and the hair, it was so clean. It looked so beautiful. It
Wow.
wasn't like, people talk about ratted hair. I was like, whoa, this thing was clean and fluffy. Nice.
Interesting.
The hair wasn't fluffy, but it was just really
Hmm.
beautiful. Like really, I don't know, it laid nice, but the wind was blowing it. You could really see the length on the bottom of the arms. But we could just see its fingers. You know,
And it's
I
going
mean,
to an area where humans are not allowed to go.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it was standing right on the edge of that scientific area. I always have to laugh
So
about that.
interesting, man.
But once again, right by water, these things are water apes, and they're always seen by woods, water, and hills.
Hmm. Hmm.
And they're never seen far from water. And then, okay, so another time was not too long ago, and then many years have gone by, and we are driving by an area that I actually just watched a show on today. It's made national news. There's our freeway here. There's a whole line of lakes, a whole chain of these old ancient lakes, and they're filled in. They're eutrophicated. Um, that's the proper term. They're very ancient lake, and they just fill in with sediment. They become swamps, basically, and so they're deep swamps, and there's a whole chain of them, and nobody wants to live on them. Imagine that, because lily pads, and you can really, it's just going to be a muck mosquito fest, and so, but they're vast wilderness areas, and a lot of them are private property. Where apparently, like one of them I checked one of the lakes, and it's owned by a hunting club, and they own the riparian rights, meaning they own under the water. That's rare. Usually, you just own the shore, but they apparently owned all of the. They had the riparian rights to it, and there was none of their people were allowed on it. The hunting club owns, I don't know how many acres. It's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of acres, but they're not allowed on it.
Interesting.
No one's allowed on it. And well, guess what the road that goes by there? Furman Road.
Man.
And so we're driving home. We went to a bakery of all things. She was getting a sweet tooth. We went to the bakery to get some like gluten-free muffins or some damn. They had to drive all the way to White Bear Lake. We go over there, we get the muffins, and we're heading back, and it's kind of a windy little road that goes between a bunch of these eutrophicated lakes. Well, we go by Rondell Lake, and that's the lake where there's been numerous sightings, including a guy that works for me had a really good sighting. 2 in the afternoon, walked right in front of his car, stepped over a barbed wire fence. He called me up and he goes, "Doug, do deer walk upright?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? Deer upright?" He goes, "Well, how tall would a deer be if it walked upright?" I go, "I don't know. probably 6 foot. And he goes, oh, well, that rules that out because this thing was like 10 feet tall. And I'm like, what? Okay, tell me what happened. So he tells me this story. Anyhow, it was stepped. It was almost in the middle of the road when he came down a little hill and around a corner on Furman Road, and it just stepped in front of his truck, broad daylight, and then stepped over a barbed wire fence, and then went into the swampy area, into the lake. But okay, so I had two, yeah. So then we were driving home, and all of a sudden on our right side, it's about dusk, but still pretty light out. And here's this huge 8 foot, 9 foot creature. Just there's an area where if you cut through, where you got to kind of come by the road, then you can go right into Rondell Lake, into this wilderness area. So it was just taking a little shortcut, just briefly, just like, yeah, screw it. I don't care if I'm seen. But this little bit, well, we happen to be right there. And we see this thing just walking over the top of trees, just plowing them over little willows, alders, we call them. It's just stepping on them and it's just plowing through there and gone. But we saw it in the fur on it, or the hair, I shouldn't say fur. The hair was like black, but it had all these white specks in it. Beautiful, almost like a starling feathers. I've never seen fur on any animal is beautiful, but it's hair. But I've never seen anything that gorgeous. I mean, it was absolutely
Wow.
spectacular. It reminded me of a starling. If you look up a starling, like in the States, they have like little dots all over them,
Hmm.
like in their
Interesting.
feathers. And that's what it looked like. Um, uh, so once again, he was caught off guard. We just went to go get muffins. I wasn't looking, but we're always looking. When we're driving through these areas, yeah, our heads are on swivels because we know
Hmm.
what's there. And then like I just listened to another guy that just told his story about being in there where he had like not only an encounter, but the guy fainted and then the thing came up to him, it was like leaned over him. So when he woke up, it was actually looking down at him. But here's
Wow.
another story that just happened. So about this area. So I like to restore like once a year, restore an old rusty motorcycle.
Hmm.
A great project. You pick them up for nothing. They don't run. Everything's messed up, and you resurrect steel, right? It's a resurrection of steel is like my motto, and it keeps me busy. It's just a great hobby. And so I was on my way to go look at an old bike. That was just a 125 Yamaha 19 like 70. Yeah, an AT. It was an AT1 1970 125. Doesn't run. It's been in a barn for like 35, 40 years. So I go over to this guy's place and I realize, oh my God, this is right up the road from my workshop. Which is, by the way, I own land right on the edge of this Bigfoot area,
Hmm.
which I got stories about that too. So I pull up in his long driveway through all this beautiful forest, get up, and he happens to be pulling up behind me. So we get out, we shake hands, and I'm like, hey, I'm blah blah needs blah blah. Take me, yeah, let's go see the bike. And he takes me back. We walk back to his barn. Not even a minute. I'm back there, and all of a sudden I hear wood cracking, like serious wood cracking, like 3 foot oak tree type cracking. It's no wind, no sound. You can just hear like an elephant pushing down an oak tree, just keep getting momentum on it. And we hear the cracking, and I go, do you have Bigfoots on your property? And he goes, maybe I do. I go, and then mid sentence, the tree comes down. God, boom, right by us. And again, do you have Bigfoots on your property? And he goes, I think I do. And he goes, are they dangerous? I go, oh, probably not. I said, how long have you lived here? And the guy's like 31 years. And I'm like, well, you must have a lot of stories. Oh yeah. And I'm like, do you often have trees pushed down? He goes, only when I walk back to the barn.
Man.
I'm like, okay, I'm here 1 minute and I'm experiencing this. Yvette's in the car and she hears this tree come down. And so I'm like, okay, you need to come with me. Just step over here 10 feet and talk to Yvette. We just had a sighting just around the corner from here. And I said, yeah, they're here. And I said, this is actually a pretty famous little area. And he's like, really? He goes, would that explain my grill that got thrown into the front yard the other day? I go, yeah. He goes, would that explain this giant feces I found in my yard that was like, this big coffee can? So he goes, yeah. He goes, would that explain that? I go, yep. He goes, would that explain this deer skeleton that got reassembled in my driveway? I'm like, yep. He goes, he just kept going, right? And then
Man.
he's like, well, how big are they? And I go, well, see where the barn doors have been ripped off? So right about there, right at the top of that. He goes, are you kidding me? And I said, well, think about what we just heard, dude. The tree. Do you know what it would take to push that tree down? And they said, you know as well that there's no wind. Like it's just, and he goes, oh yeah, 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 yeah. And he's starting to connect. I said, well, did they smash your house that night? Oh yeah. Like, but I'm like, can I put some cameras up around your property? He goes, oh yeah, that'd be awesome. And I go, and then he goes, do you want to buy my place? He's totally serious. So we haven't come to a price yet, but he's,
Man.
it's like, oh my God. So anyhow, but that's a
Wow.
that's a 1 minute investigation that I was there.
Hmm.
1 minute.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild, man.
And
You
and
can.
I own the place land right across the street from him, like real
Hmm.
close. And it backs up to an area where like me and a guy, a head of the Minnesota Bigfoot Association, had a whistling. So we were there late one night filming. We were filming, we were building e-bikes for Bigfoot research with cameras on them. A little combination of technology, right? You take an
Hmm.
e-bike, which are silent, and you put infrared lighting, and then you put motorcycle dash cams on them. So you have two of them, one in the front, one in the back, and you just go on these long bike rides in the middle of the night, 2 in the morning, and you just quietly zipping through the forest. On like they have bike trails, like they're paved, but they go right through the forest. You don't think they're using those trails?
Hmm.
Of course they are. It saves calories.
Yeah.
So, all right. So anyhow, back to my thing. So we're out there one night. And it was kind of late, 2 in the morning. I go, hey, come out here. Listen to this. Also, we hear a loud whistle, like it's kind of like a little song, but it's birds don't do that at night, right? This is the middle of the night. And I go, do you know how to whistle, Abe? And he goes, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I said, well, whistle back to try to mimic, whatever you just heard. So he does, and then we get a response. He does, and we get a response. We just kind of did this mimicking back and forth for like almost an hour, but
Man.
backs up right to that area with all those, those lakes. And I've actually heard wood knocking there. I've come out. We hear coyotes going crazy all the time. And then every once in a while, I'll hear either a wood knock, then all the coyotes go crazy, or I'll hear the coyotes go crazy, then I'll hear wood knocks, I'll hear answers. And yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh man. I want to come over there, brother.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
Anyhow,
Wow. That one that you saw running. Did you see like the face? Did you get a good look at what the face looked like?
it was walking fast, briskly, but
Hmm.
no, of course, they had its back to us. It's two now.
Yeah.
Both had it. So that my goal is to see the face
Yeah, man.
because it's not real. Could you imagine if, we were doing this podcast, our backs of our heads, both
Hmm.
directions, you got your back to me and I got my back. It's not very rewarding, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And no, I have
Wow.
not seen a Bigfoot's face yet. And
Still,
that's the good part. The
man.
expression of whatever they're, you know what they're thinking then. You
Hmm.
see their face.
Yeah.
Are they mad? Are they happy? Are they giving you a dirty look? Are they giving you a pleasant look? Are they ignoring you? What's going on?
Hmm. Hmm.
No, so we keep seeing Bigfoot butt twice now.
Incredible thing to see, though, man.
Yeah,
Wow,
Bigfoot butt. Yeah.
brother.
So gluten-free muffins and having to urinate.
Doug, I have absolutely loved talking to you tonight, sir. It has been such an honor.
Yeah, well, it's
And
been my pleasure. You're such a great host.
oh, thank you,
I've
man.
told you that before. You really do a great job, and
Thank you.
you know why you do such a great job? Because you love what you do and you love the topic. Like you're really
Thank you, man.
interested in the topic,
Yeah, I
and
love it,
that
man.
comes through. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
So,
appreciate it, brother.
and it's so nice to do a show when somebody really just is really interested in the topic.
Oh, thank you very much. Coming from you, that's amazing. That's an honor.
Yeah, yeah,
So
you do a
thank
really good
you
job.
so
You're gonna
much.
go. You will go far. And I got to get you on my show one of these days.
Absolutely, I'd love to. I've had some weird stuff happen to me, man.
Yeah, yeah. I got to hear your stories. So you got to reciprocate. I'm just gonna sit there and go. Did you see its butt?
Yeah, I was having a pee.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I was pooping one
I was
day.
pooping one day, and it changed everything.
Oh God, that's too
You
funny.
you are a legend, though, mate. I hope this, as I said, the first of many. I'd love to have you back on. Let's get freaky
Oh, whatever,
a million
whatever.
times. So thank
Yeah,
you so
yeah,
much, man. I
yeah,
could listen
yeah,
to you talk all
yeah,
night, brother.
yeah. Thanks, Tommy. It was fun.
Can you tell the listeners where they can find you, your
Oh,
show?
sure,
I
sure,
know you've got
sure.
loads of work out there.
Well, yeah. So you can obviously get a hold of me on Facebook if you need to get a hold of me for any reason. You can messenger. You don't even need to be my friend to send me a message. Did I say message? I
I
did
think you
say
did.
message. I did. This is what happens when you get over 60.
It's easy done.
You combine words at times. You say things like, oh, you go to the car wash and go, I'll have a wash and a walks. You say stupid things.
I do it
Okay.
all the time, man.
So just go to, but if you want to, we do a show every Sunday. Untold Radio AM is my show, but there's other shows you can check out. And then my family produces paranormal books, Hanger One Publishing. And then I started, I planned this since 1985 to start a record label when after I retired because I've been involved in the music industry for so many years as an unprofessional observer. And so I thought, well, when I retire, that's when I'm going to start. And so I did.
Awesome, man.
I started White Wolf Entertainment Records, and you can find some of the bands that were represented on so like Spotify and so or YouTube or wherever. I mean, there's no money in music anymore, but I'm having a ball. I'm having a ball. So
Awesome, man. That's
having
so
fun.
cool.
Yeah, so anyhow, that's kind of what I'm up to. And then I'm trying to finish up. I'm still waiting for a little result, but Legend Meets Science 2 is ending up as a series,
Okay.
a limited series. I don't know how many episodes I can get out, but man, I might be able to even get as many as like a full season of Legend Meets Science 2.
Let's go.
So anybody who's backed us on Kickstarter will get all of those episodes.
Awesome,
Yeah,
man.
we've got, like 42 terabytes of footage now of like really high-end beautiful footage. And so that's what's going on. But that I would imagine will probably be my last film project.
Awesome stuff, man. Well, we've got to
Well,
find the Loch Ness Monster as well.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
You need
got to be
help.
on the
I'm there.
list. We've got to do
I'm
it, man.
there.
We've got to do it.
Scotland's such a beautiful area. Are you
Oh, it is.
how far of a drive for you
But
to get to Scotland?
I'm the other side. It's probably about 12-hour
Oh,
drive. But I
oh
mean,
yeah,
you
okay.
get on the train. I'm on the south coast in the UK, but in England, you get on the train. I can be in Edinburgh in 7 hours, 6 hours,
So
something
so
like that.
yeah, you're in the part of the UK where there's a palm tree once in a while, and there's some palm.
There is some palm trees. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm in Dorset in Bournemouth.
okay.
We do get palm trees, a few.
Yeah,
It
I mean
rains
it's
a
kind
lot
of
though.
weird. People don't think about it, but there's
Yeah.
areas in southern England that are kind of semi, rainy, yes, but tropical.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, summertime, we get some nice summers here. Got a nice
How?
beach. That's why I come here.
Yeah, what's the temp right now?
I don't know right now. Right now, I can say it's quite cold. That's all I
Oh,
know. It is quite cold and it is raining a lot. We've just broke the record for the most rain this year.
oh, really?
It's never rained as much as it has in the start of a year as it has this year.
Okay.
Apparently, it's broke a record, so there should be no hope pipe bands this year. That's for sure.
Okay. Anyhow, all right, I'm signing off. Thank you so
You're a
much,
legend,
Tommy.
brother. Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
thanks.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
man.
much.
Yep, thank you.
Guys, thank you so much for listening. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, share it where you can. That is a great way to support the podcast, and we'll be back very soon for more freaky conversations. In the meantime, stay safe and keep it freaky. Bye for now. Thank you very much.